Yeah. Okay.
Go out there to win, and I come out taking nothing but winning as the ultimate goal. And that's what I'm in it for. I enjoy playing it, but I'm there to win.
Irv, have you ever seen one man make that kind of impact?
I have never in my entire career in football, at the amateur level as well as the pro level, seen one guy have such influence over a ball club.
Burt Jones, no doubt.
I don't have any stuff up here for halftime leads, right? There's no special throws I'm going to have to make, right?
He wants to know about halftime. What?
All right.
Okay.
There's a third quarter score from Atlanta. First and 10 at the 17-yard line. Green Bay on the board against Minnesota 3-0. In motion, Mel Gray. Hart to Otis Anderson. And Anderson runs into a tackler. Mike Woods, number 59, the linebacker. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Baltimore Colts and the National Football League is prohibited. Redskins lead cut to 2 now as New Orleans coming back, 9-7 in the third quarter. 2nd and 8 at the 18 now, and both wide receivers, Tilley and Gray, split left. Anderson is hit by Fred Cook, and Mike Barnes tries to grab him, and Derek Hatchett runs him out of bounds. And you want to talk about the offensive line hampered with people like Terry Steve, Tom Banks, who went out last week, Keith Workman, Bob Young, who failed his physical. They've been injury-riddled, and the Colts just stormed in on him, Johnny.
That time Cook didn't make the tackle, but he forced the play as he came across and hit Otis Anderson before he could even get started. There must have been a missed block for him to get across the line of scrimmage that quickly. Nobody even touched him. And Otis Anderson shows his strength and durability there as he broke the tackle, breaks another one here as Barnes is after him, gets away from that, but finally pushed out of bounds. But the Cardinals are in a long yardage situation now.
And a pass coming up perhaps with Mark Bell, 81, and wide receiver Theodis Brown in the backfield. And Hart getting the heat into the pocket. He fires, incomplete, intended for Mel Gray. And Larry Brazil defending. He does not have a lot of time to get rid of these men.
No, that time there was no sack, but they had what you call a hurry. I think it was Odowski who got the hurry and forced Hart to throw the ball. You see Mel Gray and Pat Tilley down the field, both straight, with both turning to the outside, and actually those
covered well.
They were covered pretty well, and the receivers were pretty close together, too. That's also a no-no.
Well, Swider with one punt today, and the Colts could have golden opportunity field position-wise. He'll kick from the goal line. Nesby Glasgow is at midfield. And they came in to try to block it, and a fine punt, and it takes the St. Louis bunch. Bounce Glasgow and a whole bunch of red shirts.
You had the right word, a St. Louis bunch.
Anticipated them. They'll take that anytime, right? Larry Swider with a kick. And no return. And the Colts will go on offense. 9:26 to go. They're trailing the Cardinals.
Well, he saw that whole bunch of Cardinals coming.
Right.
He was going to say something.
Right.
I think he got his words confused. But he was right the first time. Yeah, that was good. That's what? Right.
All right, Ray Butler. I don't know. I think Ray Butler. Curtis Dickey is in, 27. Let's see. You know, maybe they'll spring him. They said this week they were going to it's going to be his coming out party. Maybe Butler and Dickey. Maybe they feel that Carr is covered too well or whatever. I don't know.
I think they might go with Butler on the medium range pass. So maybe
Dickey coming out of the. I don't know. They haven't used Dickey out of the backfield much. Buffalo at 5-2, New England 6-1, and the Bills lead at 14-10 in the third quarter. Right here, the Cardinals lead 7-0. It is 1st and 10 for the Baltimore Colts at the 43-yard line, their own 43. Second back through, Curtis Dickey was hit, and a fine play by Mark Arneson. Mark Arneson was the man that stopped Curtis Dickey.
And the man that was frustrated was Cleveland Franklin. He missed the block, and he was slamming that turf as hard as he could because he did miss that key block, because he has to push him out so that the running back can get through there.
Cardinals' next game will be at home at Busch Stadium against the Cowboys next Sunday, and then the Atlanta Falcons the week to follow. Two big games coming up for the Cardinals at home. 2nd and 10 at the 43 following no gain. Roger Carr 81 wide to the right. Burt Jones has time, plenty of time, and he's going to run it, and he wisely falls down after a gain of maybe a yard. Good coverage downfield by the Cardinals.
Ray Butler, I think, maybe sprained his ankle on his pass pattern here. As Worley is covering Butler, Butler will go down, trying to force him deep, then cuts across the field. Burt Jones couldn't find him. Good coverage by Worley, and right here they tangle. He sprains his ankle there, and that's going to be I don't know, I don't think he could have broken it, but it's probably sprained, which means they have to get ice on it as soon as possible to prevent the swelling.
Pulls up lame, and Brian DeRue, number 87, who has not caught a pass yet in 1980, will replace him when we return to Baltimore in a moment.
That didn't. Let's look at it again. I didn't think it was interference.
You can't tell anything from this.
That's pretty close. I mean, their bodies touch, but I don't
you
think
can't. Yeah, that's why television angles don't show it most of the time. Don't show it most of the time. Just pulled up lane.
I think he just
pulled
came
up
down
lane.
on it wrong,
Came
right
down
there.
On it.
Well, if he's still out in the field, I guess we could. No, you're doing good.
DeRue. 87.
No, I wouldn't go with him. I'd go with the other one, Carr.
Three-way tie in the AFC Central Division. Pittsburgh bouncing back from the loss to the Oakland Raiders, leading Cleveland in Cleveland in the third quarter, 20-7. 3rd and 8 at the 45-yard line. Butler's been replaced by Brian DeRue, number 87, who split to the left. DeRue, originally with the Giants, picked up as a free agent by the Colts, and Burt Jones under pressure, it still is, and he's in trouble, and he's down. Number 53, Steve Niels, who has good lateral pursuit as he's shown this year, dumped Burt Jones for a big loss, and Mike Brad will punt. Good play by the linebacker.
Let's take a look as the Cardinals come on. They bring 5 men on the pass rush. Jones can't find anybody downfield. He has to go out of the pocket, and here actually they recovered pretty well. He wisely ate the ball and went down. Good play by Steve Niels.
You know, Curtis Greer, the #1 draft choice, made a lot of things happen even though he wasn't involved in the play.
He came right up the slot, and he's the one that forced Jones out of the pocket.
So Mike Bragg will punt once more, and a boomer.
Ooh.
Great punt by Bragg. Bell going back to his 20. Penalty marker is down, and Bell hemmed in, and he's not going anywhere. He's dropped to the 20-yard line, but we have 2 penalty flags down after that 48-yard punt by Mike Bragg. 7-0. The Cardinals are leading the Colts. 7:34 remaining in the first half. Otis Anderson, a 4-yard touchdown run. 7-0. We have a clip against St. Louis. So they're going to start way back in their own end.
Yes, they're going to end up a long punt and then a penalty. They'll be back on their own 10-yard line.
I think we can pick it up. Well, his mic wasn't working, but you can see it right on the left of your screen. You just see it to the left of your picture. So the Cardinals will start from their 10, first and 10. This is tough for any quarterback. This is the opposite of a 2nd and 1 at your 40. Let's see what Hart does to get him out of this hole. Anderson. Mike Gosdowski stops him. So it'll be 2nd and long, which adds to the pressure. Burt Jones, you've seen him perform in the first half for the Baltimore Colts. Come back after 2 separate shoulder injuries last year to lead the Colts to a possible playoff berth this year. Will be featured at halftime by Phyllis George. The NFL today is watching football action on CBS this afternoon. Gain of 3, or 2nd and 7 now at the 13-yard line. Hart. Quick pass, has Tilley. Tilley trying to jitterbug his way, can't get beyond the 20, but is close to a first down. It's Simonini, the undersized, tough middle linebacker. Number 56 had help from Bruce Laird at strong safety.
Another short pass for Jim Hart, who has thrown for over 30,000 yards. I think if he gets 117 today, he moves into 6th on the all-time list for yardage for quarterbacks. As you look at Ed Simonini, the middle linebacker for the Colts, who the last time they played the Cardinals, Simonini had 15 tackles.
First down for the Cardinals, so they get out of that hole. They're at the 21-yard line, leading 7-0, 6:10 to go first half. Otis Anderson gets a couple going outside. Sanders, Shiver, and Ed Simonini make the tackle. New England moving closer. Buffalo 14-13. The Bills leading the Patriots in the third quarter of their game of import, of course, to the Baltimore Colts. Joe Ferguson has thrown 2 touchdown passes to Frank Lewis, and Steve Grogan has hit his tight end Russ Francis with a score this afternoon. Has a pass batted down at the line of scrimmage by Bob Pollard. Pollard bats it down. 2nd and 10. And the Cardinals have just shut off Baltimore's running game completely.
So they ought to take that old philosophy, establish the passing game. Everybody says establish the running game. There is Pollard. He leaps very high to deflect that pass, and that's what a defensive lineman is supposed to do. When he makes his rush, he sees the quarterback's starting his motion. You stop the rush and you leap and try and bat that pass down.
Well, Jones has thrown 7 straight incompletions now. 2nd and 10 at the 48. Both wide receivers split right. Pitch goes to Cleveland Franklin. Washington tried to block, and the Cardinals come in again. We may have a late hit. I don't know. It looked like there was a possibility of a late hit by the Cardinals, but no flag is down. And Eric Williams, who really has been a defensive stalwart for St. Louis today, makes the tackle.
Well, the St. Louis linebackers are tough. They're all hard hitters, and they have really done a job today. They run basically, as you know, a 3-4 defense. They have gone to some 4-man fronts on the third down passing situations.
You know, any club that starts with a 3-4 ultimately changes in the same the other way around, depending on the down and yardage. This is 3rd and 14 at the 44. Don McCauley is in the game, number 23, coming out of the backfield, and Jones fires it to Butler. It's a catch. He was in the air, and Carl Allen knocked him out of bounds, and the official ruled that it was a catch. And it is true that if you're in there and rammed out of bounds by a defender, they can call it a complete pass, and they did right there.
The rule states you're supposed to have 2 feet in bounds before you have a catch, but if you're in the air and the referee assumes that you would have come down and you were knocked out before you could come down, then it's ruled a completion. He actually only had 1 foot in, but Carl Allen hit him, and he rules that he would have caught it in bounds had he not been hit. I think it was a good call.
They said Butler had it from the first day of camp. They knew he was going to be a player. 1st and 10 at the 39 for the Colts. Play action pass.
Watch out.
Up the middle and off the hands of Raymond Butler. Carl Allen defending, but Butler was there and he was free. Ran a square in pattern at the 25. 2nd and 10.
The ball was thrown just a little bit behind him. If he had thrown that in front of him down at the stomach level, he'd have caught it right in stride. But watch him, because he has the inside position on Allen, but the ball was thrown way back behind him, and that could have been a very big play for the Baltimore Colts. You got to blame only one man on that one. That was Jones missing the target, although the receiver could have caught the ball.
They've dropped a few of them today that they should have held on to. 2nd and 10 at the 39. 3:35 to go first half. 7-0, the Cardinals leading and holding on to it.
Here they come.
And the pass is drilled to Butler in the air, incomplete. Well, he drilled that one to Raymond Butler.
Well, Burt Jones has been accused of throwing too hard sometimes, but you can never throw too hard if the ball is thrown to the chest or the stomach. As you can see, the pass rush, they pick up the blitz very well. Good pass blocking. Now here comes the ball, and it's right there. Caught him a little high on the shoulder pads and deflected off, but should have been caught.
Third down conversion. St. Louis, 1 of 6. Colts, 2 of 6. Mike Ciani, number 45.
They've got Carr and Worley 1 for 1 out there.
Showing blitz, the Cardinals, and moving off sides is Jankowski. Jankowski moved. It was 3rd and 10. Now it'll be 3rd and 5. If indeed the Cardinals did move, but no, it was the Colts. Might have been Wade Griffin who drew Jankowski offside.
Well, if they see somebody move there in that offensive line, a good defensive lineman will charge across and get the call.
So it's 3rd and 15 at the 44. See if we can see if it was number 69 Wade Griffin or Jankowski. It was.
Yes.
4th-year player from Ole Miss. So it's 3rd and 15 at the 44, and they're out of field goal range right now. Cards hope to keep it that way. Jones back to throw. He's got time. He's going deep for Roger Carr, and it's incomplete. Well defended in the backfield by Carl Allen and Ken Stone defending back there, and Carr flexing his shoulder right now, but the Cardinals played it well.
Well, he threw into double coverage here, as you're going to see. That's actually triple coverage. There was Niels to make him adjust his pattern. Here's Carl Allen waiting for him, and you got Stone on the inside because he was running the post pattern, and you got everybody covering. So if you had to make an assessment on that play, Burt Jones threw to the wrong receiver.
Mike Bragg will punt, and Mark Bell, single safety, standing at about his 10-yard line. 3:23 remaining in the first half, and the Colts have not been able to penetrate. Boy, Bragg's a terrific punter. And there's Brian DeRue. Did he down it? He did. Brian DeRue has really hemmed in along, I should say, not DeRue so much as Mike Bragg inside the 5-yard line. And exactly at the 5-yard line. Boy, Bragg gives you whatever you need. A 40-yard punt, no return.
That's a 39-yard punt.
39 yards. Cardinals have it at their 5. They started the last drive from their 10. DeRue's been an outstanding special teams player this year, and they managed to get out of difficulty.
Well, this is a big series as you look at Denver leading the New York Giants 14-9. I'll be surprised if it stays that close. I figured Denver to beat them by more than that.
Joe Danello has kicked 3 field goals. Otis Armstrong went in for the touchdown. 1st and 10 at the 5. Colts fans yelling for defense. Wayne Morris gets out of difficulty near the 10. Piled up there by a few people, including Ed Simonini, the middle linebacker, number 56. He just powered that fullback out of there.
This is a big series for the Colts on defense, because if they can stop them from getting the first down, they'll have St. Louis punting from bad field position, and Baltimore would have good field position with about, well, there's 2:47 left, but they'll have somewhere between a minute and 2.
And they have all their timeouts at their behest.
But first they have to stop St. Louis.
Tilly and Gray wide right. 2nd and 5 at the 10. Big series for the Cardinals for the reasons you just talked about, John. And here's Morris going off left, and he's stopped by Ozdowski. Mike Ozdowski, who plays the run along with Orvis as well as anyone, makes the stop, and now it's 3rd and 5. No gain. And now we have a timeout, I believe, called by the Colts, wisely using one of their 3.
Watch number 71. He plays off the block, makes the tackle. He beat Collins and made the tackle to put St. Louis into a passing situation. 3rd and about 6.5 or 7, I think, to go. And what will they do? What will Jim Hart and the coach Jim Hannafin, what will they decide on for this play down deep in your own territory?
A wise timeout for the Colts, because they figure that with the field position they might get, all they need is two timeouts.
That's right. Plus the 2-minute warning clock is coming, so you can't blame him for calling a timeout there as Jim Hannafin talks with Jim Hart. He says, Jim, please get me the first down. He says, now here's the way we're going to do it. Now, of course, on the other side of the field, everybody's together, the warm jackets and everything, talking about what do we think St. Louis is going to do.
Oh, we got two coaches here that came from the offensive line school. Mike McCormick right there on the right. He established himself with the Baltimore team in camp when he got tough with a couple of people who were malingering at the time. In particular, Roger Carr had always complained of injuries, and he finally set him straight and won the respect of his team. He's the Dallas Green kind of coach in football, although I think the players like Mike McCormick more than maybe all the Phillies like Dallas. That's an understatement.
Yes.
3rd and 6 at the 9. Big play for the Cards. Theodis Brown is in there as well as Mark Bell. Otis Anderson, the lone setback. Pressure on Hart. He fires, and it is caught. It is caught at the 15, close to a first down. Theodis Brown stopped by Simonini coming out of the backfield.
I think it's a little bit short, and Bruce Laird almost had an interception here. He knew it was coming, but it's so hard for the back to take that kind of a chance. Good protection. Here comes Bruce Laird almost on the interception. He hits him and knocks him down, and I think they're a touch short, and they will have to punt.
It's the 2-minute warning right now. 2 minutes remaining in the first half. They're short by just a foot or so, and apparently they will kick. Cardinal fans will go crazy if they don't. We'll be back in a moment. You see,
What'd you say? Yeah, they're good.
Funny, I guess you got to do that much.
What?
Would you run a play with a foot?
No, you can't down on your own 15.
This much? I don't know. 11. What's 11? Oh. All right. Okay, talk me through it one by one and we go, but that's fine. That's the outline. I got you. Fourth and a foot, and the Colts will have a chance. Larry Swider, who got off a 27-yarder, not a good punt last time out, will punt from the goal line. Nesby Glasgow is at midfield, but Kim Anderson is about 8 yards in front of him, waiting for the short kick, and Burt Jones, who has had kind of problems today. Cardinals have pressured him. His receivers have dropped a few.
And he's kicking a little bit against the wind, kind of a crosswind, swirly wind, but it's tough kicking.
Comes up and punts it. Better than the last time. Glasgow will let it bounce, and it's going to take a St. Louis roll right here inside the 40-yard line. And they down it at the 36-yard line. Penalty marker down. Upfield. Illegal receiver downfield. So the Colts will definitely want that again. Pittsburgh leading Cleveland now 20-14 as Brian Sipe has thrown his second touchdown pass of the day. This to Greg Pruitt, earlier to Calvin Hill. So it's 20-14 in the third quarter. The Steelers lead the Browns, and Washington ups the lead to 19-7 over New Orleans as Joe Theismann has thrown a TD strike to Ricky Thompson. Referee microphone was broken there, but they're going to kick it again, and that could be a tough break against the Cardinals after a 50-yard punt, good roll, and no return.
Yeah, it could make difference of 20 or 25 yards in field position for the Colts. Plus, he has to be punting from the end zone, and the Colts have been fairly close to blocking a couple. They make the shift. They're coming from the left side. 5
yards in the end zone. Glasgow standing at the Cardinal 40 with 1:47 remaining. He gets it away, and Glasgow calls for the fair catch at the 45-yard line. And so Burt Jones will have 1 minute and 42 seconds. He's got 2 timeouts to work with at the Cardinal 45 following a 35-yard punt by Larry Swider. And let's see if Baltimore, not been managing any kind of offense thus far, can get on the board before the end of the half. Mike Ciani, number 45, is in at wide receiver. Don McCauley, 23, is in the back. He can catch coming out of the backfield.
Isn't it always amazing how a team marches right down the field when it gets down to the last minute and a half?
That's what happens the other 13 minutes of the quarters. Jones with a lot of time and hit from behind, and the ball is jarred loose. He is sacked back at midfield by Mark Arneson. I tell you, Arneson and Williams. You might as well, as you mentioned before, all the linebackers have been outstanding. Yeah, Carney Niels has made a good play.
And it's always good when you get a linebacker coming from the blind side. He comes from the back side. Take a look at Arneson here as he beats the block by McCauley, number 23. And then Jones doesn't see him coming, and boy, he's lucky he didn't fumble that ball. His arm was back and the ball was exposed.
Fourth sack of the game. 2nd and 16 at the 49. So the Cardinals have nailed Jones 4 times. He pumps once and he's down again. Penalty marker down. Penalty marker down. Yankowski was in there along with Rush Brown, and a holding penalty against Baltimore. So they're going the opposite. Jones is 4 for 14 for 43 yards. 1 interception, has been sacked 4 times, and this has to be his worst game of the year.
We got a shot against the defense and a shot against the offense, so there'll be offsetting penalties, and you'd have to say that Baltimore came out smelling like a rose on that deal.
I would think. 1:09 remaining in the first half. Scores, highlights coming up at halftime. Feature on Colt quarterback Burt Jones, who has had better days, but don't forget we have a big second half to go. Cardinals are playing a superb football game thus far. Well deserving of their 7-0 lead. That's the time remaining. Ray Butler, number 80, wide to the left. Carr, 81, wide right. Still 2nd and 16 at the 49. Calvin Favron in the game at linebacker. Jones is going to Butler, and he has it. Steps out of bounds, stops the clock at the 33-yard line. Roger Worley covering him. So 1:04, just used 5 seconds there, and now the Colts are back in business.
Good footwork, too, also by Butler. He didn't have much room there to catch that ball and got both feet down in before he went out of bounds. And, of course, Worley's got to play the deep threat. He can't let him get behind him. So
got behind him once.
That's right. But now, if he got behind him again, I think he'd be in trouble, even an all-pro. Mr. Hannafin would say, what's going wrong?
Well, Mr. Hannafin has a lot to be thankful for thus far. Eric Williams in the game. Favron goes out. 1st and 10 for the Colts at the Cardinal 33. They have not come close to scoring. And Jones drills one off the hands of Butler, and the pass is incomplete. Almost intercepted, and in fact almost caught again by the Baltimore Colts. Cleveland Franklin was downfield. Ciani was too. Ciani was the one who at best had a chance to get the deflection, and it was anyone's ball.
Okay, another pass to Mr. Butler turns into the inside on Carl Allen. The ball is there. Should have been caught. And then it goes up for everybody. Boy, what a perfect pass right in the groove. Here comes Stone. Here comes Carl Allen. They all go for the ball. And actually, a Colt came the closest to catching the ball here on the deflection.
Ciani.
And it was Ciani.
I'll tell you, Burt Jones is firing shots at Butler today.
Yeah, but you really don't care how hard they are if they're right in there.
Yep.
You know, if it's a high pass and just a hand type of catch, then it makes a difference, but not on that.
56 seconds remaining in the first half. 2nd and 10 at the 33. Colts trying like heck to get on the board. Here's a pass. Ciani, the intended receiver, incomplete. And good defense there by Lee Nelson, number 38, who's starting the game at strong safety. And they've had to shuffle some people in the secondary. You know, Tim Collier's been out of action. Gerard Williams was picked up. He's wearing number 29, has not seen action in the secondary thus far. Roy Green is hurt, and Ken Green out of action.
The Cardinals are blitzing somebody almost on all these passing downs, and the rest of them are dropping way off, and the people who will be open are the backs coming out of the backfield. Whether you want to take a chance of, you have to get 10 yards, but if you get a back catching it in stride, you've got something going.
3rd and 10 at the 33. That's the time remaining in the first half. Cardinals showing blitz. Let's see if they come. Jones fires this complete. First down inside the 20, and this time Raven Butler manages to hold on to it. Butler holds on to it and the Colts have a first down, 46 seconds to go in the half, and they use up a timeout. They have one remaining. Good play by Butler here.
Boy, he made sure of that catch, didn't he? He said no more. That time he kept the elbows in, went down and cradled the ball in. It was nice and low. He brought it right in, made sure of the catch, and was hit by Carl Allen. But it's a first down for the Colts as Burt Jones gets on the telephone.
Inside the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. The only scoring in the game, Otis Anderson going over the right side for 4 yards to give the Cardinals a 7-0 lead in the first quarter. Mike McCormick, last 4 years the offensive line coach with the Cincinnati Bengals, outstanding player under Paul Brown at the Cleveland Browns, and was also a head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles for 3 years. Jones says, "Don't talk to me, I'm on the phone." He's a leader. He runs the show. People have called him an arrogant winner. He's as good as ever. Hasn't really hit the bomb this year. He's gutsy, daring, just what you want a quarterback to have, plus the physical equipment.
This team is greatly improved over last year too. Of course, there was a lot of injuries. They've had good success when Jones is the quarterback. Do you know who holds the record for most passes thrown in a season for the Baltimore Colts?
Greg Landry.
That's right. How did you get that? I figured you'd say Unitas or somebody like that. Greg Landry.
Give me a break. I looked at the same things you did to get ready for this game.
You're not as dumb as you look.
Thank you, Johnny. 1st and 10 at the 18. Dick Stockton with Johnny Morris. Here in Baltimore, the Cardinals lead, and the crowd aroused here as Jones goes back, gets some heat, and he may be going down. He is back at the 24. Rush Brown, but it was Mark Arneson who finally made the play. Rush Brown has made a difference, starting the game at nose tackle for the Cardinals today.
He's learning every week and doing better and better. He comes in, puts pressure on, and you can see Jones is forced out of the pocket here. He probably made the wise decision to eat the ball here. He wanted to throw it the last second. He eat the ball, stop the clock, at least for a while. There's 40 seconds left in the game. Is that their last timeout? Not in the game, I should say in the half.
40 seconds, and they have used up their last timeout. Jones is 6 for 18 for 76 yards, has been dumped 5 times, has lost 36 yards. Most of the time it's been the linebackers who have been credited with the sacks, but I think it's the good play by the 3 men up front that have allowed the linebackers to come in. John, what do you think?
It's always that way. You know, it's never one group or the other, and there has been good pressure from the front 3, but I would credit the linebackers for doing exceptional jobs of getting by the remaining backs who are supposed to block on them or causing confusion and in and out on their blitzes, and that's what's really crossed up Burt Jones and the Colts so far.
Cardinals would like nothing better than to maintain that touchdown lead going to the dressing room. Baltimore looked to this game as perhaps a chance to have a breather. They've had some tough games lately. They beat the Dolphins in Miami. They beat the Bills. They lost to the Patriots. They have the Chiefs next week on the road. And tough schedule coming up, and they had hoped that this home game would be a little bit of a breather. Hasn't been that way. 2nd and 16 at the 24 for Burt Jones and the Colts. 3 wide receivers in the game, and Marvin Sims, 39 at fullback, and Joe Washington moved. The Colts should be called for this.
Oh, look at this.
Jones is running, and he dives to the 11, but I think I saw Joe Washington move before the snap in the backfield.
And one of the Cardinals jumped off sides. Whether he moved
as a
the
result
of that was probably the case. We'll see what happens here. It's going to be against Baltimore, I believe, as you called correctly.
The microphone hasn't been working. Gene Barth, let's see if it is now.
Number 20 offense, illegal motion. Still
So Washington called, so now it's still 2nd down, but 21. Let's see Jones here.
There he is, number 7. Keeps one back in. Good blocking there by number 69, Wade Griffin, as Jones comes out of the pocket and then decides to run, and he has really come along here. Watch him head for the turf, a la Francis Tarkington. Don't collide with the linebackers like Steve Niels.
Watch that shoulder. 2nd and 21 at the 29. Jones to throw. They are out of timeouts. Keep that in mind, and he runs right into number 75, Curtis Greer. Number 1 draft choice from Michigan at 6'4", 252. And those youngsters, particularly Rush Brown and Curtis Greer, have played outstanding ball, and Jones has to be perturbed.
Well, this time it was just a straight 4 men rushing, so they shouldn't have had so much pressure there, but Jones couldn't find anybody downfield. He had a little time, couldn't find an open receiver, and there is Mr. Greer playing off the block by number 69, Wade Griffin, and making the tackle. That was Pollard, I should say, wasn't it?
Yep, could be the last play of the first half. They're out of timeouts. This is it for Burt Jones. He's going for everything, but it's overthrown, intended for Carr. Carl Allen defending, and the crowd boos again, and the officials are telling the Colts to stay on the sideline. Penalty marker down. That may not be it. Penalty here, and it's against the Cardinals, so the Colts will have another play. Half cannot end, or the game cannot end on a penalty against the defending team. So now Burt Jones will talk to McCormick, and the Colts with a bonus. They have a chance to strike again.
It looks like they're going to go for the field goal.
That's exactly right.
75 defense encroachment.
Well,
Third down.
Curtis Greer called for encroachment. He made a fine play before. Well, now it's going to be Steve Mickemeyer will attempt a kick. It'll be a 50-yard kick for Mickemeyer. He's 0 for 1 from this distance. Holding will be Greg Landry. This is the final play, unless there's a penalty, on the Cardinals of this first half. And Mickemeyer's kick
is short,
off to the left, no good, and that is the end of the first half. And the crowd here unhappy with the Baltimore Colts performance. It has not been impressive, but you've got to give credit to the St. Louis Cardinals, because the Cardinals have played superb football offensively and defensively, and though they only lead 7-0, they have had some crisp offensive series. So at the end of the first half here at Memorial Stadium, with a lot coming up at halftime, the score: Cards 7, Colts nothing. Now, what do you mean lead? We lead here? Oh, it just starts. Okay. Right. Right. Yeah. Get the scores in. Right. Okay. You want to get the scores in order? Get them in order with the graphics. Scores in order on the list.
He's talking to our assistants.
Yeah. In order with the graph. In other words, get the order that they like. Yeah. Fine. Or whatever.
Okay.
Maybe I'll talk. Instead of stats, maybe John can make an observation.
We'll make an observation from the stats.
Yeah. We know that the Colts have not gained 400 yards in total offense in this game. We know that they haven't done that. It's more like 20. It's incredible turn. You never can tell in this game. This game is ridiculous.
Welcome back to the NFL Today in New York. And you know, when Burt Jones arrived in Baltimore in 1973, the Colts were a last-place team. When he was healthy in 75, 76, and 77, Baltimore won division titles. Then when he was injured in 1978 and again last year, the Colts reverted to last place. All of that is reason enough for Phyllis to visit the man called the franchise.
From the official's whistle, the shrill whistling of the fans, and the whistling spirals filling Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, I found Colt quarterback Burt Jones cruising with his twins, Tram and Molly. Somehow, here in the backwoods of Maryland, I managed to persuade the 29-year-old superstar to climb off his three-wheeler and spend a few minutes on his back porch with me to discuss his brilliant 8-year career.
How am I doing here?
You're going to cut yourself is how you're going to do.
You really still are a country boy, aren't you?
Well, you know, once one, I guess always one. I enjoy the country. I enjoy Ruston, Louisiana. I enjoy Baltimore. But I think if I had my choice, I would enjoy being in the outdoors most of the time. Yes, I guess I am a country boy. I have to take care of things around here. I enjoy being with my children. I carry a knife primarily because it's got a pair of tweezers, and I've got a kamikaze son that's always got either a cut or a splinter or a rock.
Some people say you complain all the time. You've always got your nose in everything and that you're a crybaby. Is that true?
Anytime I'm saying something, don't let it be misrepresented as saying that I'm complaining. I'm always in the ball game. I'm always talking to the referee. I mean, that's my position. I am the captain on the football field. Anything that takes place on that field that they call, they have to direct the conversation to myself, Burt Jones. I let them know when I think they've done a good job, and I let them know if I think they missed something. You know, they're just normal people. They like conversation, too.
I asked you this question 3 years ago, yet Johnny Unitas is a definite figure in this town, in Baltimore. Does that legend hang over your head? That name, Johnny Unitas, haunt you at nights?
It's not so much John Unitas and Burt Jones. It's the people that are trying to draw a relative comparison between the two. If you want to compare in relative state. You know, John Unitas and the quarterbacks that played, you know, during his era. Y.A. Tittle and these people. You want to compare Burt Jones, compare him to the Terry Bradshaws, the Joe Fergusons, the Bob Greasers, the Joe Namaths, people that played with me during the same period of time. And this is when you can get apples together and oranges together. Burt Jones played after John Unitas, and I hope they regard me as a very fine quarterback. I go out there to win, and I come off the field taking nothing but winning as the ultimate goal, and that's what I'm in it for. I enjoy playing it, but I'm there to win.
Irv, have you ever seen one man make that kind of impact?
I have never in my entire career in football, at the amateur level as well as the pro level, seen one guy have such influence over a ball club. Burt Jones, no doubt, is the franchise in Baltimore. He exudes a certain amount of confidence throughout the entire ball club when he's playing.
All right, thanks, Irv. Now let's send you back to the stadium and the game you're enjoying on CBS.
Here we are in Baltimore, Maryland. 7-0 is our score at the half. The Cardinals on Otis Anderson's 4-yard touchdown run in the first quarter. That has been all the scoring. And we will run down the scores around the National Football League for you. Los Angeles leading Atlanta 10-6 third quarter. Ferragamo to Drew Hill for the score. Frank Carl has a field goal for the LA Rams. Moving along, Dickey, a touchdown pass to Bill Larson. 10-3, Green Bay leading Minnesota. They're in the third quarter of that game. Moving along, Washington 22-7. 5 field goals for Mark Mosley. Theismann, a touchdown pass to Ricky Thompson in that game. Joe Danello has kicked 3 field goals. Otis Armstrong, a touchdown. Denver leading the New York Giants 14-9 in the fourth quarter. Big one in Buffalo, and the Buffalo Bills lead the New England Patriots 17-13. Rogan has thrown a touchdown pass to Russ Francis. Joe Ferguson in the first half, 2 scores to Frank Lewis, but Nick Mickemeier's field goal, 17-13 Buffalo over New England. And in another big one in the AFC Central, Pittsburgh now up 26-14 in the third quarter. Sid Thornton and Greg Hawthorne have scored. Brian Sipe has thrown 2 touchdown passes. Greg Hawthorne actually with 2 scores for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A big 3-way tie in the AFC Central Division. Running down the scores around the National Football League here as the lights are on here on a brisk afternoon in Baltimore. St. Louis 7 and Baltimore nothing. So stay tuned as the NFL Today continues after this word from your local station. Thank you. On camera, John doesn't have his patch on. He can't do it. He can't do it. John doesn't have a patch on. Where are we going?
You reminded him.
That's all right. I'll move up.
Let me throw this behind you.
Okay. We have our headsets. How much time?
God, look at this. The Colts have 36 yards.
How much time will we have here? And then what do we do? Throw to commercial?
asked, where can they?
Yes, sir. You're doing a great job, Al. That's our score, 7-0 here. A surprise. The Cardinals leading the Baltimore Colts 7-0 at halftime. Dick Stockton with Johnny Morris. And Johnny, if someone would have said to you the Baltimore Colts would have 36 total net yards at halftime, you'd say you better go somewhere, right?
I would say who would have thunk it, because it's really amazing. 36 yards. Burt Jones was only 6 of 18, while Jim Hart was 7 of 13. The Cardinals don't have all that many yards themselves. They have 105 for the first half, and I think the third down situation is what really tells the story. The Cardinals were 1 for 7, the Colts only 3 for 9, so really not too much offense. It's been a defensive battle. Both defenses have really done a good job, especially the St. Louis Cardinals.
And it's been a passing game, or at least for the Colts, an attempted passing game on their part. Rushing, the leading rusher in the game is Curtis Dickey with 4 yards. He's the leading rusher in the ball game.
For Baltimore. Actually, Anderson has 30 yards in 13 carries, which is not a very high average. 2.3, which isn't too much. Wayne Morris has 5 for 25. So far we really haven't seen too much offense.
The St. Louis Cardinals, though, are playing a very aggressive game defensively, and they're giving Hart enough time to get the passes off, something they didn't do, obviously, with those 6 sacks last week.
That's right. The offensive line has done a little bit better in that respect, but as I mentioned earlier in the game, I think one of the reasons is that Hart's type of passes have changed a little bit for this game. He's doing a lot more shorter passes where obviously he can't get sacked. They don't want to get him hurt. You know, he's not the youngest player in the league anymore. 15, 16 years. He's, 36, 37 years old. And when you start getting those bumps and bruises week to week, you don't heal up. He used to heal on Tuesday, then pretty soon it gets to be Thursday. Now he's healing up on Fridays, and he can't take those kind of hits anymore, and he's so used to having good protection that I think that's one of the reasons they've gone to the shorter passing game.
Well, without knowing what's going to happen in the second half, one thing we know that the St. Louis Cardinals have turned around the way they have played this week compared to last week, as they lead 7-0, and pretty good ball game thus far. We'll be back with more from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore in just a moment.
Okay. Yes, sir. Why? What'd I do? Pardon? Oh.
If you got a final somewhere, let me know.
First 2 interceptions, that was...
Eric Williams was one. Wasn't he?
Yeah, Bruce... I think Bruce Laird got one for the Colts.
What? No, I know that. I know.
Could you ask somebody to get a Coke? Or a tab?
Yeah, and I'd like coffee, hot, black coffee.
I'm afraid to take coffee because you know what it does. Goes through you like,
yeah,
makes you want to go.
I may be able to make it through the game.
Let's see, who received the kickoff?
Should be. Okay. That wasn't an interception. Who's that? Gray?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that set up the score, right?
interception set up the score?